Right now, as you watch this, your kidneys are working. They have been working every single minute of every single day since the moment you were born, filtering toxins, balancing minerals, regulating blood pressure, quietly doing some of the most demanding biological work in the entire human body without ever asking for your attention. And that silence is exactly the problem, because when the kidneys begin to struggle, they rarely announce it loudly. What you feel instead is a kind of low-grade dimming, a heaviness in the legs by late afternoon, a fog in the mind that no amount of sleep quite clears, a tiredness so constant it starts to feel normal, waking at 2 or 3 in the morning just to use the bathroom, night after night. Most people dismiss these signals. They blame age, they blame stress, they blame a bad week. But here is what those signals might actually be telling you. More than 37 million people in America alone are currently living with some degree of kidney damage, and the majority of them have no idea, because the kidneys are extraordinarily good at compensating quietly, right up until the moment they cannot. My name is Dr. Benita Fieldhouse, and today I want to give you something genuinely useful. Not a list of expensive supplements, not a complicated protocol. What I am going to share with you today are 6 spices that most of you already have somewhere in your kitchen. Spices that research connected with Johns Hopkins, the National Kidney Foundation, and peer-reviewed journals has shown can actively support kidney health by reducing inflammation, easing oxidative stress, and improving the conditions your kidneys need to do their job properly. And I am going to share one more thing with you at the end of this video, something most people never hear about, a single daily habit that determines whether any of this actually works. If you miss that part, the spices alone will only take you so far. So please stay with me until the end. But first, let me tell you about a woman named Patricia. Patricia was 68 years old, a retired teacher, sharp-minded, active, someone who had looked after her health for most of her adult life. She ate reasonably well, she walked most mornings, she was not the kind of person who ignored her body. But for about 2 years, she had been noticing something she could not quite name. A puffiness around her ankles by evening, a heaviness behind her eyes when she woke, a mental sluggishness that made her feel like she was thinking through cotton wool. She put it down to getting older. Then a routine blood test changed everything. Her creatinine levels, creatinine is a waste product that the kidneys filter out of the blood, and elevated levels indicate the kidneys are not keeping up, had risen significantly from her previous test. Her doctor sat her down and used words she had never expected to hear. Early stage kidney decline, monitoring required. The possibility, if things progressed, of more serious intervention down the road. Patricia told me later that the word dialysis, the medical procedure where a machine does the filtering work that failing kidneys can no longer manage, hit her like a physical blow, not because she was there yet, but because she had never realized how close the door to that conversation could be. What Patricia did next is what I want to talk to you about today. Because she did not panic, she asked better questions, she made thoughtful changes, and within months, her markers had shifted in a more encouraging direction. The spices we are about to discuss were part of that story. Let us begin with the first one, and I want you to pay close attention because this is one you almost certainly already use, but may not be using correctly. Garlic is one of the most well-researched spices for cardiovascular and kidney health, and the reason comes down to blood flow. Your kidneys can only filter effectively when blood is moving through them smoothly and at the right pressure. Think of the blood vessels supplying your kidneys as hoses. When those hoses are narrow, stiff, or inflamed, the blood that forces its way through arrives at too high a pressure and hammers against the delicate filtration structures inside, the tiny, intricate units that do the actual work of cleaning your blood. Over time, that repeated high-pressure stress damages those structures. It is one of the primary reasons high blood pressure is so closely linked to kidney deterioration. Garlic addresses this directly. The sulfur-containing compounds in garlic, particularly allicin and diallyl disulfide, which are released when the clove is crushed or chopped, stimulate the production of nitric oxide in the lining of blood vessels. Nitric oxide is a naturally occurring gas that signals blood vessel walls to relax and widen, a process called vasodilation. When that widening happens, blood flows more gently. The pressure drops. The kidneys receive blood in a state that allows filtration to happen without force or strain. Garlic is also a powerful antioxidant. It neutralizes free radicals, unstable molecules that cause cellular damage, and reduces the background inflammation that over years and decades gradually erodes kidney tissue. Research published by the National Institutes of Health has documented garlic's positive effects on vascular function, the health and flexibility of blood vessels. Studies linked to Harvard Medical School have connected regular garlic consumption to healthier blood pressure readings, which are among the most direct indicators of kidney filtration health. But here is the part that most people get wrong, and it matters more than you might think. When you crush or chop garlic and immediately heat it, you destroy much of the allicin before it has a chance to form. The enzyme that converts allicin's precursor into its active form needs a few minutes to do its work. The simple fix is this: crush or finely chop 1 to 2 cloves of garlic and let them sit at room temperature for 5 to 10 minutes before you cook with them or consume them. That short rest time allows the beneficial compounds to fully develop. The most effective way to use garlic for kidney support is in the morning, before eating. You can swallow a small crushed clove with water, mix it into a teaspoon of raw honey to make it more palatable, or add it to a light morning salad or soup. Pairing garlic with a healthy fat, olive oil, a quarter of an avocado, improves the absorption of its fat-soluble compounds. And following it with a full glass of water ensures those compounds are carried efficiently through the circulation to reach the kidneys where they are needed. If you have been cooking with garlic for years without that 5-minute rest, you have been missing a significant portion of its benefit. That one small change costs nothing and takes seconds. Now, garlic works beautifully for circulation, but what the kidneys also need is help managing the internal load of toxins that builds up from digestion, environmental exposure, and metabolic waste. And for that, the next spice on our list has something remarkable to offer: cumin. Cumin is a spice with a long history in traditional medicine across multiple cultures, and that history has now been given a strong scientific foundation. Its key active compounds, cuminaldehyde and thymol, have well-documented antioxidant and anti-inflammatory properties that specifically benefit renal tissue, the cells and structures that make up the kidneys. Here is why that matters practically. Your kidneys are not just passive filters. They are metabolically active tissue. The cells doing the work of filtration consume oxygen, produce waste, and are vulnerable to the same kind of oxidative damage that affects every tissue in the body. When that oxidative damage accumulates, when more harmful free radicals are being produced than the body can neutralize, kidney tissue gradually becomes less efficient. Inflammation follows. An inflamed kidney tissue cannot filter as precisely as healthy tissue can. Cumin helps address this by reducing that oxidative burden directly. It also supports liver detoxification, the liver being the organ that processes many toxins before they even reach the kidneys, which means the kidneys receive a cleaner blood supply with less concentrated waste to deal with. Research from institutions including Kashan University has demonstrated this liver-kidney synergy, and studies indexed by the National Institutes of Health have shown cumin extract can improve key kidney function markers, including creatinine levels and urea levels. urea being another waste product the kidneys must clear from the blood. The most common mistake people make with cumin is using pre-ground powder that has been sitting in a jar for months. Volatile aromatic compounds, the ones responsible for both its flavor and its medicinal properties, degrade quickly once the seed is ground. Freshly ground cumin from whole seeds is significantly more potent. Take half a teaspoon of whole cumin seeds, steep them in hot water for 5 to 10 minutes, and drink it as a warm tea. In the morning or early afternoon is the ideal time, supporting digestion and detoxification throughout the active hours of the day. You can also grind fresh seeds and add them to salads, roasted vegetables, or soups. Adding a small amount of olive oil improves absorption, and a squeeze of fresh lemon juice enhances the antioxidant effect and adds a gentle diuretic quality, meaning it encourages gentle fluid movement through the kidneys. That complements cumin's benefits very well. Patricia, the woman I told you about at the beginning, added cumin tea to her mornings within the first week of making changes. She told me later that it was the easiest adjustment she made, and one of the first things she noticed, making a difference to how she felt by midday. And, speaking of how you feel by midday, the fatigue, the fogginess, the heaviness, there is one spice in particular that addresses those symptoms in a way that goes straight to the source, and you have probably had it in your kitchen your entire life. Cinnamon. Most people think of cinnamon as a flavoring, something for porridge or a warm drink, but the compounds inside a quality cinnamon stick, particularly cinnamaldehyde and a family of protective polyphenols, which are plant compounds with antioxidant properties, are genuinely active in kidney tissue. Your kidneys filter approximately 50 gallons of blood every single day. That is not a number I am using for dramatic effect. That is the actual physiological reality. 50 gallons every day for the entirety of your life. And when the blood arriving at the kidneys is carrying a heavy load from processed foods, environmental toxins, chronic stress hormones, excess sugar, the filtration units are working at or beyond capacity. Cinnamon helps reduce that load in two specific ways. First, it is a potent antioxidant that reduces the oxidative stress placed on kidney cells during heavy filtration periods. Second, it has anti-inflammatory properties that protect the delicate microstructures of the kidney from the kind of low-grade chronic inflammation that silently erodes function over years. Studies published in journals indexed by the National Institutes of Health and research from King Saud University have demonstrated cinnamon's potential to support renal health, reduce markers of oxidative damage, and improve the overall environment in which the kidneys operate. But there is an important distinction to know about. The cinnamon most commonly sold in supermarkets, called cassia cinnamon, contains relatively high levels of a compound called coumarin, which in large amounts, over time, can actually place stress on the liver. Ceylon cinnamon, sometimes called true cinnamon, has a much lower coumarin content and is the variety to seek out when using it consistently for health purposes. Use a teaspoon of Ceylon cinnamon steeped in hot water as a morning tea, or add it to porridge, soups, or roasted root vegetables. As with the other spices, pairing it with a small amount of healthy fat improves the absorption of its active compounds, and a splash of lemon juice adds an antioxidant layer that works in harmony with cinnamon's own protective effects. Now, if cinnamon is the spice for reducing the burden of filtration, the next one on our list is the spice for protecting the actual tissue doing the filtering. And once you understand what it does at a cellular level, you will never look at it the same way again. Ginger. Fresh ginger root contains two of the most studied bioactive compounds in nutritional medicine. Gingerol is the primary active compound in fresh ginger, responsible for its sharp, warming flavor and for its powerful anti-inflammatory effects. Shogaol is a compound that forms when ginger is dried or cooked, and it carries particularly potent antioxidant properties. Together, these compounds do something very specific for the kidneys. They reduce the inflammatory signaling that damages kidney cells during periods of high toxin load, and they lower the oxidative stress that those cells experience when filtering blood contaminated by poor diet or environmental exposure. Think of it, practically speaking, as giving your kidney cells a protective coating, reducing the wear each filtration cycle places on the tissue doing the work. Studies from the National Institutes of Health and research published in BMC Complementary Medicine and Therapies have documented ginger's ability to support kidney health by specifically targeting oxidative stress and inflammation in renal tissue. This is not traditional medicine folklore. It is peer-reviewed, documented biological evidence. The most common error people make with ginger is using the pre-ground dried powder from a jar and assuming it is equivalent to fresh root. It is not. Dried ginger is not without value, but the gingerol content, the primary compound responsible for kidney protection, is significantly higher in fresh root. Shogol, present in dried ginger, is valuable but works through different pathways. Grate fresh ginger root, about half a teaspoon, into hot water and steep for a warming morning tea. Add fresh slices to soups and broths. Combine it with lemon juice and a touch of honey for a drink that is genuinely pleasant and genuinely effective. The lemon juice, again, enhances the antioxidant effect, and a small amount of coconut oil or olive oil, if added to a dish containing ginger, improves the bioavailability, the amount the body actually absorbs and uses of its active compounds. Ginger also has a beneficial effect on digestion that connects directly to kidney health. When digestion is inefficient, more partially processed waste enters the bloodstream, adding to the kidney's filtration burden. Ginger improves gastric motility, the movement and processing of food through the digestive system, which means the kidneys receive cleaner blood with less unprocessed metabolic debris. Now we are moving into a category of spice that most people have in their spice rack, but rarely think about beyond its flavor. And yet the science behind what this next one does for the kidneys is quietly extraordinary. Coriander seeds. Each kidney contains approximately 1 million tiny filtration units, called nephrons. 1 million per kidney. These microscopic structures each contain a cluster of capillaries, the smallest blood vessels in the body, surrounded by a series of membranes that selectively allow waste to pass through, while retaining everything the body needs. The precision of this process is almost beyond comprehension. And when toxins accumulate from processed food additives, environmental pollutants, or the natural metabolic waste of daily life, those nephrons are placed under strain. Over time, inflamed or damaged nephrons lose their selective precision. They either allow things through that should be retained, or they struggle to pass what needs to be cleared. Coriander seeds contain active compounds called linalool and bornolol, which have measurable antioxidant and anti-inflammatory effects on kidney tissue. They help reduce the cellular stress placed on nephrons during heavy filtration periods, supporting both their structural integrity and their functional precision. Research published in Interdisciplinary Toxicology and the Journal of Agriculture, Food, and Environment, and studies accessible through the National Institutes of Health, have shown that coriander seed extracts can help protect kidney tissue, lower harmful waste markers in the blood, and support the body's natural detoxification pathways. These are not findings from fringe sources. They are documented in peer-reviewed scientific literature. To use coriander seeds effectively, freshness matters. Whole seeds, lightly dry toasted in a pan for 30 seconds to release their aromatic oils, and then ground immediately before use, deliver far more of their active compounds than any pre-ground powder from a jar. Steep half a teaspoon of lightly crushed seeds in hot water for a gentle detox tea, or grind freshly toasted seeds over salads, roasted vegetables, or grain dishes. Adding a small squeeze of lemon to coriander tea creates a pairing that enhances the detoxifying effect. And as with the other spices, consuming coriander seed alongside a small amount of healthy fat, even a few slices of avocado or a drizzle of good olive oil, improves the absorption of its fat-soluble protective compounds. We are now at the final spice on our list, and I have saved it for last because it is the one with the deepest body of scientific evidence, the most direct research connection to kidney function, and the one that, when used correctly, may offer the most powerful support of all six: turmeric. Turmeric has been studied more extensively for anti-inflammatory and antioxidant effects than almost any other food compound in modern nutritional science. Its active component, curcumin, the substance responsible for turmeric's brilliant golden color, is one of the most comprehensively researched plant compounds in existence. And the kidneys are one of the organs where that research shows the clearest benefit. Here is what curcumin does specifically for kidney tissue. It directly inhibits certain inflammatory signaling pathways, the molecular processes that trigger the immune response, leading to chronic inflammation in kidney cells. It reduces oxidative stress by both neutralizing free radicals and stimulating the body's own internal antioxidant production systems. And it has demonstrated the ability, in multiple controlled studies, to improve measurable markers of kidney function, including creatinine levels, markers of inflammation, and indicators of oxidative damage in the renal tubules, which are the tiny tubes inside each nephron through which filtered fluid passes. Research published through the National Institutes of Health and studies in peer-reviewed journals, including BMC Nephrology and the journal Antioxidants, have documented curcumin's ability to reduce inflammation and oxidative stress in kidney tissue, and to improve function markers in people with chronic kidney conditions. This is among the strongest evidence bases of any natural compound for kidney support. But turmeric has a significant bioavailability problem that most people are unaware of. Curcumin is very poorly absorbed when consumed on its own. Studies have shown that it passes through the digestive system largely intact, without the right conditions for absorption. There are two things that dramatically increase how much curcumin your body actually uses. The first is black pepper. Piperine, the active compound in black pepper, increases curcumin absorption by up to 2,000%, according to research published in the journal Planta Medica. The second is fat. Curcumin is fat-soluble, meaning it dissolves in fat and is then carried across the intestinal wall into the bloodstream. So the correct way to use turmeric for kidney support is this: add a 1/4 teaspoon of good quality turmeric to warm water or warm milk. Include a small pinch of black pepper. Genuinely, a small pinch is sufficient. And pair it with a source of healthy fat, whether that is a teaspoon of coconut oil stirred in, a glass of full-fat milk, or a meal that contains olive oil or avocado. Without the pepper and fat, much of the turmeric's benefit passes right through you. A morning turmeric drink: warm water, turmeric, black pepper, a small amount of fat, and optionally, a little honey. Takes under 2 minutes to prepare and delivers curcumin to the body in a form it can actually absorb and use. Now, I have walked you through 6 spices that support kidney health through complementary but distinct mechanisms. Garlic through improved blood flow and pressure reduction. Cumin through oxidative protection and liver-kidney detox support. Cinnamon through cellular protection during heavy filtration. Ginger through anti-inflammatory defense of kidney tissue. Coriander seeds through nephron support and waste clearance. And turmeric through direct anti-inflammatory and antioxidant action at the cellular level of the kidney itself. Used consistently, these 6 create something greater than the sum of their individual effects. Each targets a different vulnerability in the kidney system. Together, they provide a layered, natural defense. But now, I need to tell you about the one daily habit that determines whether any of this actually works. The missing piece. The thing that most people never hear about, even from their doctors, even from the most thorough health videos online. That habit is consistent hydration timing. Not simply how much water you drink, but when you drink it, how regularly you drink it, and how that rhythm aligns with your kidney's filtration cycle. Here is the physiological reality that most people are not aware of. When you go several hours without drinking water, as many people do, particularly in the morning hours or during busy afternoons, the concentration of toxins and waste products in the bloodstream rises. Your kidneys, working constantly, are now filtering more concentrated blood. The load on each nephron increases. The filtration process becomes less efficient. Then, when you suddenly drink a large amount of water at once, gulping a full liter to catch up before bed, for example, you flood the system. The kidneys, which were working at high concentration, must now rapidly shift to processing a much larger fluid volume. That sudden shift places a different kind of stress on the filtration system. Over time, this inconsistent pattern, long dry gaps followed by sudden large intakes, is quietly harder on the kidneys than most people imagine. And it directly undermines the protective effects of every spice on this list, because those spices rely on consistent blood circulation and steady fluid movement to carry their compounds to kidney tissue, and to carry cleared waste away from it. The solution is straightforward. Begin hydrating within 30 minutes of waking. Not a liter immediately, simply a full glass of clean water before anything else. This jump-starts the kidney's filtration cycle, flushes out the concentrated overnight waste that has accumulated during sleep, and creates the fluid environment in which the morning spice preparations you are now making will actually circulate and reach the tissues that need them. Throughout the day, aim for small, consistent amounts of water every 30 to 60 minutes, rather than large amounts at irregular intervals. The specific target, half your body weight in ounces of water per day, is a commonly used guideline that provides a sensible starting point. But the timing and consistency matter as much as the total volume. Reduce your fluid intake in the hour or two before bed, not to avoid hydrating, but to reduce the overnight kidney workload at the time when the body is meant to be in restorative rest rather than active filtration. When this hydration rhythm is practiced consistently alongside the 6 spices, the combined effect is genuinely more powerful than either would produce alone. Blood flow improves. The compounds in garlic, turmeric, and ginger circulate more effectively. Waste products move through the filtration system with less resistance, and the kidneys operate in the steady, well-supported environment they need in order to recover ground that daily stress has taken from them. There are 2 more things I want to address before we close, because they sit just beneath the surface of almost every kidney health conversation and rarely get named clearly enough. The first is hidden sodium. Most people who are mindful about their health have already reduced their use of the salt shaker. But sodium in the modern diet does not primarily come from the salt you consciously add. It comes from processed foods, shop-bought sauces, tinned goods, packaged bread, restaurant meals, and pre-seasoned products where the sodium content is rarely obvious until you read the label carefully. Excess sodium pulls water into the bloodstream, which raises blood pressure. And as I explained when we discussed garlic, elevated blood pressure is one of the primary mechanical causes of kidney damage. The high-pressure blood hammering against delicate filtration structures, day after day, year after year. Every additional hidden source of sodium you remove from your routine reduces that pressure. And when it drops, kidneys often respond quickly, with reduced swelling, cleaner urine color, and improved energy levels. Focus on whole, unprocessed foods as the foundation of your diet. Rinse tinned beans and vegetables before use. Choose fresh herbs and spices over packaged seasoning blends. Taste food before adding anything. These are not dramatic changes, but their cumulative impact on kidney pressure is significant. The second thing I want to name is the regular use of common over-the-counter pain medications. Non-steroidal anti-inflammatory drugs, commonly known as NSAIDs, the category that includes ibuprofen and naproxen, are among the most widely used medications in the world. They are effective for pain and inflammation, but they achieve their effect partly by limiting the production of prostaglandins. Prostaglandins being hormone-like compounds that regulate blood flow to the kidneys. Reduce prostaglandins and you reduce the kidney's blood supply. Occasional use in a healthy, well-hydrated person causes minimal concern. But for anyone using these medications regularly, several times a week, or daily, particularly in combination with mild dehydration, the cumulative reduction in renal blood flow becomes a meaningful stressor. If this describes your situation, it is worth raising honestly with your doctor and exploring whether alternative approaches to pain management might be appropriate. And finally, sleep. During the deep restorative phases of sleep, the kidneys perform essential maintenance work. They rebalance fluid levels. They regulate electrolytes, the minerals like sodium, potassium, and calcium that must be kept in precise balance for every cell in the body to function correctly. They recalibrate blood pressure. When sleep is poor, fragmented, or consistently short, that nightly maintenance work is incomplete. Fluid is retained. Blood pressure sits higher than it should. The following day begins with the kidneys already slightly behind. Supporting consistent quality sleep is not a peripheral part of kidney health. It is a central one. Every protective measure you take during the day, the spices, the hydration, the dietary choices, is amplified when the kidneys have had a proper overnight restoration period to work with. Let me tell you how Patricia's story ended. 6 months after that blood test that had frightened her so deeply, she went back for a follow-up. Her creatinine levels had improved, not dramatically, not overnight, but measurably in the right direction. Her doctor described it as a genuinely encouraging trend. Patricia had not done anything extreme. She had not overhauled her entire life in a week. She had added a morning garlic preparation and a turmeric drink. She had begun drinking water within 20 minutes of waking and sipping consistently through the day. She had started using cumin and coriander seeds in her cooking several times a week. She had cut back on the ibuprofen she had been taking almost daily for a knee complaint and asked her doctor about alternatives. She had begun going to bed at a consistent time. Small changes, consistent changes, changes built on an understanding of what the kidneys actually need. That understanding is what today was about. Here is what I want you to take away from this video. Within the first week of steady hydration, combined with even 2 or 3 of these spices, many people notice less bloating and a clearer quality to their urine, the kidney's own signal that filtration is improving. By weeks 2 and 3, energy often begins to lift. Nighttime bathroom trips may become less frequent. Ankle puffiness may ease. By weeks 4 to 6, for people who take this seriously and maintain it consistently, laboratory markers, including creatinine levels, may begin to shift in a more encouraging direction. This is not about perfection. It is about consistency. Small choices made daily accumulate into something the body can genuinely build on. Your kidneys are resilient. They were designed for the long haul. When you give them the right conditions, clean circulation, reduced inflammation, steady hydration, quality sleep, and the protective compounds these 6 spices provide, they respond. Quietly, as they have always done, but this time in your favor. If this video gave you something useful, please share it with someone you care about, a parent, a sibling, a friend who has been dismissing the same kind of symptoms Patricia had. The information in this video could genuinely matter for them. Leave a comment below and tell me which of these 6 spices you are going to begin with, or whether you have already been using any of them and noticed a difference. I read every comment, and your experiences help shape what we cover next. And if you are not yet subscribed to this channel, please do join us. Every week, we bring you clear, research-supported health guidance written specifically for people in their 50s, 60s, 70s, and beyond, because you deserve information that respects both your intelligence and your time. Your kidneys have been working for you every day of your life without complaint. it is time to start working for them. I am Dr. Benita Fieldhouse. Take very good care of yourself, and I will see you in the next one.